Well, good morning, everybody. It is Saturday morning here, going on the month of April. Going to be heading out to the BMX track pretty soon, but for now, we're going to take a little sightseeing trip downtown. Um, let's see if we can get these engines started, shall we? I wish I could. I'm going to have to disable these tips here soon. So, battery master to on, please. Fuel pump's going to want to go on. Yeah. Starter, ignition, auto. Okay, fine, I'll do the easy way. One of the cool things about this is I do actually have access to the checklist that will teach me how to start this plane. Kind of nice. And there are things I like about 2024 over version X Flight Sim. There are things I don't like about it. I suspect as I get better and know more about how to play this game, it'll become easier and more fun. It is a lot of fun already. And it's also extremely realistic. I feel like I'm getting a better realistic viewpoint about how things are when you fly a plane as compared to a video game. So, wait for our stuff to boot up here, have a sip of coffee. Yeah, my wings are level, dude. There we go. Avionics are booted. Let's get some lights on. Yeah, no smoking right now. Seatbelts are off. Cabin lights, right, left. I don't know, whatever. We shouldn't need it, but we're turning pitot heat on anyway. Taxi lights. So we're gonna
06 Charlie traffic Cessna Delta Juliet Tango India Mike X-ray taking off runway 29er departure to the east.
I went ahead and pressed the brakes here. Release the parking brake. Let's start rolling, shall we? I will say that the ground vehicles are all over the place in this game. There are a lot of ground vehicles all the time. I'm sure that there's a setting to turn them down. Yeah, I like how it tells me this as I'm already taxiing. So we're heading to runway 11, and we're going to go east. We're going to fly downtown. I may even do a touch and go at Meigs Field and come back. And that is our flight plan for today. I'm going to start preparing for takeoff. One click on the flaps. Lights enabled. So today we are flying the Cessna 308. The Grand Caravan is a very popular plane amongst certain markets. In the Chicagoland area, I think there's maybe one or two that I actually see flying around, but we don't have a lot of need for this plane in this area. We can do most of our aviation with either small private planes or with jets. Now you get into some of the outback, and you'll notice that there's a lot of these particular planes doing bush runs because they have the ability to take off and land on short runways, and they can also fit, a good number of passengers.
06 Charlie traffic Cessna Delta Juliet Tango India Mike
We're
X-ray
going to
taking off
go
runway
ahead and
29
take
or
off
departure
on
to the east.
runway 11. Unfortunately, one of the things I don't like about this game is it doesn't give you the option to change runways when you're taking off. It only wants me to take off on 29, which I'm heading east, so I want to take off on 11. And unless the wind conditions are drastically bad, which I don't believe they are, then let me see if I can find a sock. I don't see the sock. Well, all right, we're going to take off anyway. Full power, please. Centered on that runway. That was really rough. So if I give it a slight pullback, we'll go up to about 10 degrees. Feet. Let's take these flaps up, pull the power back. One of the things I like about the Cessnas, I kind of prefer the lower wing style, the underwing style, but the overwing style, the way it flies is very preferential, I gotta be honest with you. The handling is pretty nice. They're rather smooth. Now normally, I would have to either divert around this airport, or I would call and get Class B transition to go over the airport. This is the Chicago O'Hare International Airport to our left here. That's going to look the wrong way. To our left right here is the Chicago International Airport. O'Hare is pretty huge and massive, and I don't know if I would actually get clearance to fly Bravo airspace. Most airplanes would probably just avoid it. At least that's what I noticed when I watched the vectors. A little bit of trim on. So you notice I'm automatically avoiding that airfield to my left here. Probably don't need to because I'm in the game and there's not a lot of traffic going on here. If it was real life, there's no way I would be able to do this without being in constant contact with air traffic control. That's just a fact. Oh, that's wild. Looking at my heads-up display, I actually see a dot for the ILS landing system. Now, I haven't gone as far in this particular new game as to figure the ILS systems out as much as I did on my old one. That's coming soon. But it is kind of cool when you're just flying past an airport and the ILS markings kind of pop up on your screen because that you are inadvertently tuned into the right frequency to see that. Now, as I have mentioned in the past, and I will continue to mention throughout this broadcast and this recording, we are making the impossible flight today because it is literally impossible to land at this airport. It no longer exists. Meigs Field has been gone for quite a while. A lot of us were very disappointed to see Meigs Field go. I just want to say that. I'm sure some people have or will notice that I have not touched the autopilot once. I have not touched the autopilot nor the navigation a single time in this. And in this flight, I'm going to fly this by hand the whole way. And there's really no need to in a little Cessna Caravan when we're just doing small fields like this. If I were going to go landing at O'Hare International Airport, I guarantee I would be using an ILS of some sort. Even if I flew it by hand in, I would probably tune into the ILS anyway. So I'm going to go ahead and call the airfield and let them know that I'm coming. I assume they're going to bring us in, quote unquote, left traffic. What's neat is that this is a
Tower Cessna Delta
tower.
Juliet Tango India Mike X-ray is 10 miles west 1,300 feet with kilo to land.
Cessna Delta Juliet Tango India Mike X-ray tower. Altimeter 30.20, wind 285 at tree. Enter left downwind runway 36.
Enter left downwind runway 36. Tango India Mike X-ray 1.
Enter left downwind runway 36 Cessna India Mike X-ray.
And I think it's amazing how I'm flying around Chicago and every single one of these controllers and my pilot voice all say the word 3 as tree. Couple to tree. Ooh, 8. That's nice. So I'm going to start reducing throttle, and I'm going to start reducing my altitude a little. I'll tell you one mistake I noticed that I made is I never turned my landing lights off after I took off from Schaumburg. It's a short flight, so it's not a big deal. Let's just go ahead and say that this is probably the reason that I have to do checklists most of the time. It's the kind of thing you forget when you don't do your checklists. Just a touch of left hand turn.
Cessna India, Mike X-ray, wind tree 00 at 4. Cleared to land runway tree 6.
Cleared to land,
Cleared to land runway tree 6 Cessna
36.
India Mike X-ray.
Cessna Tango India Mike X-ray. Some flaps down. It's funny how much of a difference that rudder makes. The moment you touch it, the whole aircraft jumps a little bit. We're feathering this throttle to keep us above 75 and near 80. I gotta feather it back down. Full brakes. Try to get it centered.
Cessna India, Mike X-ray, exit runway when able.
Okay.
Cessna India, Mike X-ray, contact ground on 121.8.
121.8 Cessna India Mike X-ray. Goodbye.
So unfortunately, it doesn't give me a gates option, so I'm going to have to go to
Ground
taxi
Cessna
department.
Delta Juliet Tango India Mike X-ray taxi to parking.
Cessna Delta Juliet Tango India Mike X-ray taxi to general aviation parking using taxiway Bravo.
So the thing I've noticed in this game
Taxiing to general aviation parking via taxiway Bravo Cessna India Mike X-ray.
is that the field marshals in front of us are where I need to park. So I'm going to make my way to them. Nothing to the right, nothing to the left. Let's taxi. Every time I park here, I get so scared of rubbing this fence with my wing. I'll tell you what. As I pull up to this guy, there's usually a guy with sticks that'll tell me when to stop. Apparently that's not going to be this guy. Chop chop. No chop chop today, huh? Alright, let's set the parking brake. Control Shift E. Alright, let's do that. Turn them engines off. Get some of these lights off, save some power. That was a 12-minute flight, folks. 12 minutes from Schaumburg to downtown. We will be making a flight back here in a few minutes. And I will go over a few things that I didn't go over on the way out here.